What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Now, I've been in the mood for a really relaxing JRPG experience recently and found myself returning to some of my all-time favorites. And that has inspired me to make a list of my top 10 favorite relaxing or cozy JRPGs. So that's what we are here to do in today's video. I don't know what it was. It could have been all that Elden Ring I played recently that had me searching for a more laid-back experience, but nonetheless, the games in this list all give me that chill, feel-good vibe when playing them. Before I jump in, hit the like button if you enjoy the video and subscribe if you're new here. I do a ton of JRPG content, so if you like JRPGs, you're definitely in the right place. So with all that said, let's jump right in. First up on the list, I have Ni no Kuni. I think one of the things I look for in a relaxing game is a nice, colorful art style, a story that can hook me in, and gameplay that feels good and isn't overly complex. I feel like Ni no Kuni checks all the boxes here, and it really is a ton of fun to play. The art style brings back my childhood memories of some of my favorite Studio Ghibli films. Colorful animation creates a warm and inviting world that's really nice to explore. This aesthetic gives this game a nice storybook feel, which I really like. The gameplay itself is designed to be engaging yet not overly cumbersome. While it includes combat and challenges, the battles are often more about strategy and planning rather than fast-paced action. This allows you to take your time and think through moves. Sure, there are occasional boss fights that will bring about some frustration here and there, but nothing too crazy. The game also features a creature collecting system, and if you're like me, you can easily get hooked on something like this. I mean, if you grew up with Pokemon like I did, you'll lose yourself in collecting mechanics, and it's pretty relaxing to go and just roam around and collect sometimes. You can capture and train various familiars, as they call them. The gameplay is just really great and something I enjoyed a lot. The story in this one is really heartwarming and filled with amazing moments. It's got some story beats that will pull at your heartstrings for sure. The characters are great, and if you like Studio Ghibli films, you're sure to connect with Ni no Kuni. If you're looking for a relaxing JRPG, then this is a great one to play. Next up, I have Dragon Quest Builders 2. If you want a relaxing game that you can get completely addicted to, then this is the one. Dragon Quest Builders 2 has that town building farming sim aspect to it with some story and even some combat elements. It mixes all of these into one package so well that it's hard not to love this game. You'll absolutely lose hours to this one. For me personally, it's hard to identify what exactly certain games do to hook me in and have me in like a trance of sorts where I can't put it down, but Builders really does it. Like I said before, art direction plays a big part in more cozy feeling games, and this game's art style does meet the requirement. The vibrant and colorful world of Dragon Quest is always visually appealing and filled with charming characters, and Builders 2 even expands on that a bit with an art style that's clearly designed to be more on the playful side. The environments are beautifully designed with amazing villages, and they all create this overall comforting and inviting atmosphere, in my opinion. The story and quests in Dragon Quest Builders 2 are engaging without being overly demanding, which is important when you're trying to lay back and just play something that's not too complicated. The narrative and overall feel of the game is really lighthearted and filled with hilarious moments, making it nice and enjoyable without causing too much stress. Unless you're like me and you totally stress out about having the perfect layout of your town and where you need to put everything, only to realize that it's not scalable and you now need to spend several more relaxing hours fixing it. I digress. The game strikes a great balance between providing direction and allowing for more player freedom, so you can follow the story when you want or simply spend time building and exploring. Don't miss out on Dragon Quest Builders 2. Just make sure you're not doing anything super important because it creates this sort of time portal you'll get lost in. The game is really great. Next up, I have Trails from Zero. Now, I think you could probably put any of the Trails entries that are intros to a new arc here because they're much more grounded and have a lot of world building in them, but I found that Zero is just an incredibly relaxing experience that I thoroughly enjoyed my time with. There's a lot of quests early on that really give that traditional JRPG feel, and as you get to know the characters, you'll find that the game overall has this nice sense of camaraderie there. I mean, there are times where I started up at the end of the night and come away feeling like I read a few chapters of a really good book. I also found the music in Trails from Zero to be soothing and melodic. I mean, the soundtrack perfectly complements the game's look and feel. It just has this really calming background music that helps put me in a relaxed mood as I progress through the story. The gameplay mechanics in Trails from Zero are also designed to be accessible and enjoyable. The turn-based combat system is very strategic, but not overly complicated. Like, it doesn't have all these layers to it that are too difficult to understand. Although the whole orb system can be a little difficult to get your head around if you're new to everything, the game offers a nice balance between challenging encounters and more straightforward fights. This helps you feel like you're on the right progression track, and if you're not, you know what you need to do. I recommend starting the Trail series personally with the very first game, Trails in the Sky, which is also a very chill and relaxing game, but Zero is a bit more accessible and is a perfect Switch game if you have one. Pokemon Legends Arceus is next up on the list, and I had to put a Pokemon game on here because I just grew up with these as nice, relaxing experiences that I really enjoyed, and I feel like all of the modern Pokemon releases, Arceus was the most relaxing game I played. It's the open areas, the more chill soundtrack, the pacing of the overall experience, and the look and feel of the game that all come together to create this incredible game that I just really enjoy returning to. The pacing of Pokemon Legends is also a real factor here. Unlike traditional Pokemon games that focus heavily on battles and gym challenges, this game places more emphasis on exploration, research, and interaction with your environment. You'll spend a lot of time observing and capturing Pokemon in their natural habitats. This is a far more leisurely gameplay hook compared to the constant battling seen in the other games. I also found myself getting completely lost in the menus and focusing more on the collecting aspect of the game. Something else I like about this one is the game allows you to set your own goals and progress at your own pace. Whether focusing on completing the Pokedex or exploring different regions, you can choose how to spend your time without feeling pressured or rushed. This level of freedom makes the game feel personalized and far more enjoyable. You can really consume this game how you want, when you want. The game overall just maintains this low stakes kind of feel to it. While there are challenges and battles, the consequences of failure are very minimal, allowing you to kind of experiment and just enjoy the game without really any setbacks. Pokemon Legends Arceus, definitely one of the more relaxing Pokemon games. Harvestella is next up, and this is just a relaxing game for a multitude of reasons. Primarily due to its blend of farming simulation, RPG, and exploration elements. At its core, it revolves around farming activities like, tending to your crops, raising livestock, and managing your resources, so all things you would expect from a game like this one. These tasks are calming and provide a sense of routine and accomplishment as you watch your farm grow. These tasks can come off as repetitive and is why I don't typically like farm games, but a few strike the perfect balance between the other mechanics in the game, and Harvestella is definitely one of them. The game's visuals and environments also give a nice, relaxing feel. The landscapes are colorful with nice, charming looking villages and beautifully designed settings that make just exploring everything really a great experience. The art style is just amazing, and as soon as I started up, it just feels really welcoming. It's just one of those games, you hear the music, you see the startup screen, and you kind of just get that laid back feeling. So Harvestella is definitely a good one to have on this list. And one of the most appealing aspects of the game has got to be it's just, again, low stakes gameplay. Although there are goals and tasks to accomplish, the game allows you to kind of progress at your own pace. There aren't super strict deadlines. Like, there are points in the story where you get through the game and you do feel like I do need to accomplish this thing by this time, but that isn't happening all the time. There is very few high stress scenarios, so you can really enjoy your time with the game without feeling overly rushed. Just the way Harvestella combines all of its elements to create a really nice and cohesive experience is just unmatched in my opinion. Definitely give this one a go. Earthbound is next up, and this is an absolute classic. And when it comes to relaxing JRPGs, I couldn't miss an opportunity to talk about this one. I spent a lot of time playing this game when I was younger and return to it frequently now. It's definitely a feel-good game for me, and it's why it's on this list. First off, I've got to talk about the art style and setting of Earthbound. I mean, these contribute significantly to its relaxing feel. The game is set in a modern day world filled with bright and colorful cartoonish graphics. The environments range from these small towns to forests and deserts, and all of them seem designed with a unique and playful aesthetic that kind of evokes this nice sense of nostalgia and comfort, especially for those of us that grew up with the SNES. The story and characters are a huge part of what makes Earthbound so great. The looming alien threat sounds outlandish, but the game is filled with humorous dialogue, off-the-wall situations, and really memorable characters. This light-hearted approach to storytelling makes it so the game never takes itself too seriously, and I absolutely love it for that. While playing the game, I definitely felt encouraged to explore and interact with other characters, like explore every nook and cranny, and just really discover everything the game had to offer. Its world is filled with like small, interesting details and nice, funny touches that reward your curiosity. I just really enjoy Earthbound, and when I feel like turning on a game that triggers that relaxing night on the Switch or relaxing night in front of the TV, then this is one of my favorite options to go to. Room Factory 4 is a really cool game, and one I initially thought I wouldn't really enjoy, but when it was released on Switch, I went ahead and gave it a go, and I'm sure glad I did. This is definitely intended to be that relaxing, calming type of game, and if you start it up in the right mood, it can hook you in pretty quick. First, the game's blend of farming, crafting, life simulation elements are all incredibly well implemented and definitely create this nice laid-back feel. You can cultivate crops, tend to livestock, manage your farm, all of which involve a repetitive, low-pressure gameplay loop that provides that nice sense of routine and accomplishment, very similar to the kind of Harvestella type thing, but just even more low stakes than that, I would think. This kind of gameplay, to me, can be very meditative, and I really enjoy turning this one on at the end of a long day. The game's art style and music are also very calming. Room Factory 4 features nice, vibrant, colorful graphics that are really great to look at, particularly the remaster on Switch. I mean, it looks really amazing on the OLED, especially. The characters and environments, they're just all really well designed. I also like how the soundtrack just complements the look and feel of the game. It just comes together really nicely. Like I mentioned before, when it comes to farming sims, I think it's very important for all of the game's mechanics to kind of come together and create a nice, cohesive feeling experience. And I do feel like Room Factory 4 manages to do that really well. While it includes combat and some dungeon exploration, these activities are designed to be far more accessible than usual and not overly challenging. Combat system is super straightforward, easy to pick up and get familiar with, and dungeon crawling offers this nice change of pace without becoming too intense. Room Factory 4 is a ton of fun to play. Definitely check it out if you haven't yet. Next up, I have Dragon Quest XI, and while this may be a longer and slightly more in-depth game for a relaxing list, this game is absolute comfort food for me. See, Dragon Quest XI does something really interesting in that it's a game you can pick up and lose yourself in for hours, or you can pick it up for 30 minutes at the end of a day and progress through the story or a side quest, and it feels almost like a bedtime story of sorts. I don't know how to describe it. It just does something truly special with its pacing that makes for an incredible experience all the way through. Gameplay mechanics are designed to be accessible and user-friendly. Classic turn-based combat system allows you to strategize without feeling rushed, and the difficulty is really balanced to provide a challenge without becoming too incredibly frustrating. Although under-leveled Dragon Quest can always be a nice challenge, so if that's what you're here for, it's there for you too. You can take your time and think through your actions, and this just keeps the combat and exploration, just the overall game feeling low stress. Exploration in Dragon Quest XI is also really great. The game encourages you to wander around and discover nice secrets at your own pace. Open world design just allows for nice casual exploration, and the game often rewards your curiosity. All of this paired with its bright and colorful aesthetic, incredibly well-developed characters, and classic combat, as I mentioned before, make just for a really relaxing game. I mean, sometimes you're playing this game and it just feels like you're hanging out with your friends. I mean, these characters are all so great, and when I need a game to kick back and relax to, then this is one I typically come back to revisit. Next up, I have Tales of Vesperia. Now, I love the Tales series, and some of them are incredibly dark, like Berseria, but some are far more welcoming, like this one. This is a truly timeless JRPG in my opinion, and that's why it's on this list. The game features a vibrant anime-type art style that is bright and colorful. The environments, characters, cutscenes, they all come together really nicely. The characters are very likable, and for me, this is another game that I just really enjoy turning on when I need something to put me in a good mood. Music is incredible and adds that nice, relaxing feel. I think that a lot of the time a great soundtrack goes unnoticed, but I think that Vesperia's really hits the spot for me. While the main storyline has its more serious moments here and there, it is balanced with plenty of lighthearted and funny moments as well. The optional skits, which are short conversations between characters that are kind of a staple of the Tales series, often feature funny back and forth that add a more lighthearted tone to the experience and help you get to know the characters and your crew. One of the things I find most important when thinking of a cozy game is the ability to explore and do what I want when I want without feeling overly rushed. And I think for the most part, Vesperia executes this really well. If I feel like exploring, doing side quests, grinding a bit, whatever it is, the experience is enjoyable. And that's why this is honestly one of my all-time favorite Tales games. I played this one on the Switch, and it's really great handheld experience with an art style that really shines on that OLED screen. So give this one a go if you haven't yet. Finally, I have Atelier Ryza. And this is a great, relaxing JRPG for a number of reasons. Typically, in JRPGs, you have this gigantic looming threat that's going to cause the end of the world as you know it, and it's your job to be the hero. That's not really the case here, though. Don't get me wrong, there is a situation in the story driving things forward, but the overall narrative is much more grounded and easygoing. There are a ton of reasons that Atelier Ryza makes for one of the most relaxing JRPGs out there. This game's art style, again, very bright, colorful, and very aesthetically pleasing, and the world of Ryza is filled with amazing environments. Its visual appeal creates a nice, warm, and inviting feeling that I really resonate with. Gameplay mechanics here are designed to be on the far more relaxing side. The alchemy system, which is central to the game, allows you to experiment with different ingredients to create a wide variety of items. This crafting process is both rewarding and it encourages creativity, which I always love in my games. You'll find yourself probably getting a bit lost in the menus just crafting away, and all that contributes to the actual combat and moment-to-moment gameplay. I also really loved the exploration in Ryza. You can roam freely, run around, grabbing resources and discovering new areas. I never felt rushed in this game, so it was just nice to casually explore, and you kind of get lost in this like alchemy loop, and it's hard to explain, but once you play it, you'll totally get what I'm saying. The story and characters, as I mentioned before, just really great, give off this nice lighthearted feel. You know, honestly, I never really got into Atelier games before Ryza, and I don't know why, but because of so many positive reviews and recommendations, I went ahead and gave it a go, and it just exceeded all of my expectations across the board. Don't miss out on this one. It's really great. All right, everyone, that's it for my list of 10 cozy JRPGs. Now, I know this particular list is definitely based on the individual, so with that, I want to know what your favorite games to kick back and relax with are. Let me know in the comments below. Also, what did you think of the games in this list? I thought this would be a great follow-up video to my previous video of my top 10 hardest JRPGs, so if you haven't checked that one out yet, be sure to do so. Maybe you could play one or two of those and then use this list to find a palate cleanser of sorts. Anyway, until next time, I'm out.